Hey guys, Mr. Patterson here with the week 5 problem set for the Theta group. I'll go through the first few problems here on this video, and then there'll be another video for the second part of this problem set. In the first problem here, we're talking about these two angles, and they're separated or broken up by this transversal. Now what you need to know about these angles is that they're either going to be supplementary, meaning they add up to 180, or they're going to be congruent. And if we look at the two angles that were given, the 120 and the 2x plus 20, they're both clearly bigger than 90 degrees, meaning they're obtuse. So if they're both obtuse, then they can't be supplementary, so they have to be equal to each other. So we really have this equation, 2x plus 20 is equal to 120. Subtract 20, we get 2x equals 100. Divide by 2, we get x equals 50 for that problem, which is answer choice C. But if you keep that in mind, that angles in problems like this are either supplementary or congruent, should make these problems a lot easier for you. Excuse me, we're talking about angles in the second problem as well, where we have this angle here 60, they call this angle y, and they call this one z, and that one x. It says that 2x equals y. Well, to find angle y, that's pretty easy because it's got to make a linear pair with the 60. Linear pair means they add up to 180, so therefore y has to be 120 because 120 plus 60 is 180. And then it says y equals 2x. So in other words, if you multiply x times 2, you'll get 120. So that means x equals 60. And what they're looking for in this problem is z. So we really have two of the same pair of angles here, making z 120 degrees, which is answer choice E. Remember to. Looking at number 3. Now we're talking about problems dealing with the distance formula, or the way I like to think of it is this really problem about the Pythagorean theorem. We want to know which one has the distance of 10 from the center. Well, if you like formulas, I don't particularly, the way you get the distance is by taking your x2 minus x1, squaring it, plus your y2 minus y1, squaring it, and then you take the square root of the whole thing. For my money, I'd rather just make a Pythagorean theorem problem out of it because everybody knows Pythagorean theorem. You're much less likely to remember the distance formula. The answer is dq. So let's just look at that point Q. Let's see, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we go over 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here's this point Q way down here. And this is the distance that we're talking about. Let me change colors. Nice straight line there for you. We're talking about that straight line there. So I just make a right triangle out of it, and I count over and I say, alright, I got 6 horizontally, and if I count up, I got 8 vertically. So now, to find the hypotenuse, meaning the side opposite the right angle, all I have to do is say, alright, well, if I call that C, 8 squared plus 6 squared equals C squared. 8 squared is 64, 6 squared is 36, add them together you get 100. Take the square root of both sides, and we get C equals 10, which is the answer we're looking for. D is the correct answer for that problem. On to number 4. I think I can squeeze it in down here at the bottom. It says use the coordinates to find the midpoint of 3, 8, and -1, -2. Right? Again, there is a midpoint formula if you like formulas. I don't particularly like formulas, but the midpoint formula says you add up the x values and divide by 2, and that's how you get the midpoint x coordinate. and then do the same thing with the y's, because what we're essentially saying here is that the midpoint is kind of like the average of the 2 points. And if you like that, go ahead and use it. Me, I'm much more visual. I'm going to look at these points. I'm going to find the middle of them. Okay? So 3, 8, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 8 is up here. And then negative 1, negative 2 is down here. So I'm going from negative 1 to positive 4, meaning half of that distance is going to take me, well, that distance is 4, so half is going to take me 2 to a positive 1. So I know the x part of my midpoint is going to be a positive 1. And then I'm going from negative 2 up to positive 8. Well, if I look at those, that's a distance of 10. So I need to cut that distance in half, 5, and if I take 5 away from 8, that takes me to 3. And if I plot that point, it gives me another visual cue that that is about halfway there. So C is my answer. And again, if you like the formula, stick with the formula. I'd rather not memorize something like that, but that's up to everybody on their own. Number 5 is talking about which leg is shortest. Well, this follows the principle that the shortest leg is opposite the smallest angle. And if we look here, this angle given was 35, that's 50, and what we have, A is up here, B, and C. Well, if this is 50 and this is 35, well, we know the sum of them has to be 180, making this angle up here 95. The smallest angle is clearly the 35, making the side opposite it the smallest side, so AC is the smallest side, which is answer choice C. And then number 6, we're talking about, there's another Pythagorean theorem problem. On a camping trip, Troop A goes on a hike. They leave their campsite, so we'll call this their campsite here, and they go 3 miles north. Okay, so there's our 3 miles, and then they go 4 miles east. And then they want to know how far away from their campsite are they. So, in other words, if you were to draw a straight line from the campsite to where they are, what's the distance there? Now, if you remember Pythagorean triples, this is the most common one, a 3, 4, 5 triangle, you can know automatically that the answer is 5, answer choice E. If you don't remember that automatically, then you're doing Pythagorean theorem. Leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. 3 squared is 3, 4 squared is 16, 9 and 16 is 25. So we're saying C squared equals 25, square root both sides, and we get C equals 5 that way as well. Hopefully you did okay in those videos. Come on back, watch the second video, and I'll see you in a couple minutes.